Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial for Dragonflame Tutorials. My name is Obly and today we'll be discussing dragons. The game's called Dragon's Prophet for a reason. It's all about the dragons. Dragons. Well, we love dragons and that's why we play this game. However, it can be a little confusing. I have a lot of people asking me, okay, how do you level a dragon? What kind of skills am I looking for? How do the skills work? Uh, how do I get them to work for me? How should they attack? What kind of dragons are there? Is there a difference between the dragons? Well, we're going to cover all that in the following tutorial. So let me start off with the types of dragons. There's basically, you can cut them down into three different types, based in two different sets. You have a tank. They are basically, generally, they are ground types, fairly bulky, but they are mainly focused on defensive. They have a ton of HP and they have a good defensive skin, so they have a lot of armor. But the other side is you also have offensive dragons, and those you have two types. You have physical damage and you have magic damage, same as all the classes in the game. That basically covers all the types of dragons. There's different models, different forms, but basically it comes down to that. It's either a tank or it's an offensive one. So defensive or offensive. There are a few hybrid-ish kind of versions. They don't really work that well, honestly, in my opinion. They're like a little bit of everything, but not really outstanding in anything. If you want support, you want support. If you want offense, you want something offensive, not something in the middle. It, for some reason, just doesn't want to work. At least it doesn't for me. Maybe for you it does, but for me it doesn't. So that's the three types. People go, okay, but if I catch a level 1 dragon that I got at the start of the game when the quest told me to go out and catch a dragon, what's the difference between a level 1 and a level 70 dragon? A common one, a rare one, a boss, it doesn't matter. The difference is skins. And it doesn't really matter in the stats all that much. They start off with around the same base numbers, and every dragon has a maximum level they can attain, which is 100. How to get them there is quite a different story, and I'll get to that in a little bit later in this tutorial. Now, it's basically what you fancy, what kind of skin you like, but I do suggest that you always keep at least two of the types. Get a runner, which is like a raptor or any ground type, and a flyer, because without a flyer this game can be very tedious to get around. So when you start, nowadays the starting area is Puricia, and the first dragon you have to capture is a flyer. This will help you get around fairly easy, avoid mobs, having to run through everything. Um, and so basically you have ground ones that can just run. You have a few that can swim. Not that you're going to use that at any point, really. There's flyers, which you're going to use all the time. And there's gliders. And gliders are basically like a hybrid version between running and flying, like gliding says. You can jump off cliff with them, and they can't really steer in the air. You can't like go up or down with them, except if you let just drop. But they can only glide forward. So they help. They go fairly fast if you want to go running on land. They're fairly useful. In dungeons, however, you can't fly. Some dungeons allow you to ride your dragon inside the dungeon, but you won't be able to fly on them. So that's where the runners come in. They become quite useful in there. So, going on. Now, I've already went to an area where there are dragons, and as you can see, these little guys are running around. And we're going to catch one, because the first thing you need in order to do anything with the dragon is, well, obtain one. So we're going to catch a dragon. So I'm going to show you how you catch a dragon. Basically, all you need to do is you go close to them. Now, it used to be that charisma affects how good you can catch a dragon. The more charisma you had, the easier it became. They changed that. Nowadays, the only thing that will affect your ability to catch a dragon is called something like dragon influence. Now, dragon influence can only be obtained on accessories, rings, earbells, necklaces, so on. That's not really a concern for commons, but when you go a little further into the game, you will start getting it. and the dragons become harder to catch as well. Now, regarding the dragon types I mentioned, there's also rarity, and basically the guys that you find outside like this are considered commons. Now, there are special ones, like the first one here in my list up here. It's ancient, and there are ancients that only spawn with flutes, which I will cover in a bit, and there's ancient that spawn in the wild, and they have a respawn timer, which is actually quite ridiculously high. Some are between 12 hours, and others are 78 hours. There's one that's 84 hours. Some are even unconfirmed because nobody knows what the hell they are. Some haven't even been seen, though they have been implemented. Now, go on. But basically the rate is common, then boss level, then rare, and then ancient. Um, the thing is that the stats wise, it doesn't matter much. It's not like, the ancients have a slightly higher base stat to start with, but they top out at around the same. It doesn't matter that much, they just look cooler. There's also some special dragons that will yield you a title. Mainly, the ancient dragons, like Scarlet Flame, will give you the title Scarlet Flame's Kindle. The titles give you a very nice bonus to your stats. It looks very little, but it does add up in a while. Now, like I said, what does influence dragon capturing now is the dragon influence. Now, draconic influence is one thing. The other thing that now helps is what used to not be there is the lower the HP on the dragon, the easier you can catch it now. Unfortunately, I can't hit any of these guys because they'll die instantly. So I'll just go ahead and catch it. At your first level, you might want to get it down to about 20 to 15% HP, and then give it an attempt. So when you get near them, the skill that you want to use that I slotted for F5 is this skill, Capture Dragon. It should be in your quick slot from the start. If not, go to your skills tab and you should see it right in the first one, Capture Dragon. Drag and drop it anywhere on your quick slot to where you find it convenient, and you're good to go. So let's go catch a dragon. You will notice that you get this little circle in the right top corner. Now, the thing is, what you need to do is keep that little, like death skull, dragon skull thingy in the middle circle if possible. The more you keep it in the middle circle, the faster the red bar on the right goes up. If the left bar that was on the left side, the yellow bar on the left side, runs out, you get knocked off the dragon, and you didn't catch it. So you basically have to catch it before that bar runs out. Now there's several ways to boost that through item shops. You'll see that sometimes you get this, and I'll get to that next. So now that we caught a dragon, that's all fine and dandy. When you ride your dragon, you can use this skill to go faster. So the normal speed would be this, and that is with that skill enabled. They run faster, which is lovely because you use it a lot. So, or you just use auto path and you won't have to do anything. But that's beside the point. So now that we've captured a dragon, you can mount it and unmount it according to the hotkey associated here, which you can change if you want. If you have a mouse with a lot of side buttons, you can adjust it to the side buttons if you so wish. Just look into your settings and go into interface, and there you can assign hotkeys, and you'll be able to change everything around. In a different tutorial, I explain all the basics of the game regarding setup and optimization of your system. Now, as for the dragon skill, as you notice, we had a little pop-up here. So, first of all, let's take a look at our dragon by opening the dragon lair. Now, if you can't know what the hotkey is, press escape to get the interface mode, and go to the second icon, the little dragon head. The first one is dragon stable. That is your short key to get your dragons shown, and for me it's set for P. So now right now I'm going to click on that, and we'll see my dragon that I could just captured right here. He's got a little fake little grin on him, and he's ugly as hell. So that's nice. Now, the dragon that we caught has several different skills. Now let me explain the skills to you. If you see an empty slot which he doesn't have, unfortunately, but I'll show you a dragon in a moment that does. It will have just an empty slot here. And in the dragon layer, we can fill those with skills, but we'll get to that. So what are the different skills that a dragon can have? As you can see at the top, there's 5 different types. The one is an empty slot, so that's unallocated. However, these dragon soul skills are, by the way, the only skill you cannot transfer. And the transfer has to do with the empty slots. So you'll see that in a moment. So dragon soul skills are buffs. And these buffs have a different timer. Some are 4 minutes, some are 2 minutes, some are 20 seconds. Some last 9 minutes. Those are the main buffs. And there's different types. You have from plus physical damage to plus actual attributes like strength, intelligence, constitution, ferocity, focus, you name it. Now, personally, I prefer the ones that actually boost your stats. There's dragon soul skills that have heals, like for instance the ones that I slotted here. These are my dragon soul skills. And divine light is basically an instant heal. It's a full heal. And that stacks with a overtime heal. And this is an overtime heal. It heals a smaller amount, but it ticks like over the time. So let me show you how that looks like. This is a full heal, the first one, and it just heals you. And this is an overtime heal, and you'll notice that with the overtime heal, you just get this tick. There's different types. You have all different types of heals. You have stronger heals, smaller heals, bigger heals, overtime heals that range in different effects. It's up to yourself to basically find the right balance. If you're a ranged class, you want a heal that goes along with you and that keeps you, you want to have basically an instant heal and an overtime heal at all times. Because basically what you want to do is when you get into a pickle, you want to have a big burst of heal and then an overtime heal to get, back up and running in case you have to run around, but you want to keep healing. You don't want to stand still. So you use an overtime heal. There's one heal called Lightwell. It used to be called Lightwell. They keep changing the names around. I think it's still called Lightwell at the moment. That is basically an overtime heal, but on a specific spot. If you're a range class and you move around a lot, that heal doesn't really do much for you. It's not that good. But for a Guardian like I am, it doesn't really matter because, I'm there on that spot anyway, fighting and tanking and dealing damage. I'm not moving around that much. So I can use that skill perfectly fine. So you have to taste and feel and try to see what kind of dragon soul skills you like. But basically you have healing skills, which is main support. You have buffs, which are just what they are, buffs as you know them. And they have different ranges. You have a defensive buff and you have offensive buffs. You kind of have to feel around which ones you like. There's a buff that increases your defense. There's a buff that for 15 seconds makes you invulnerable to damage for 1 hit. So in a duration of 15 seconds you can get 1 hit and it will be negated completely. There's a skill that reduce your damage by your damage taken by 60% for the duration of I think 5 seconds or something. So if you're a squishy class, those are kind of skills you're looking for. Defensive skills that will help you get the edge because you're quite squishy in case you get into trouble. And there's always offensive skills. Now, honestly, there's not that many good ones. There's Dragon Tornado. They named it something else now. I can't remember the name. That basically puts an AoE tornado effect around you and your pet. So if you summon your dragon and use this skill, it as well gets that skill. And that's easy if you're, on a defensive mode. Let the dragon deal the damage, and you get a little extra. And now one of the skills that I use is, for instance, this one, Adrenaline Surge. And what this does is exactly what it says. It increases my physical damage by 10% and magic damage by 10% for both me and my dragon. And it's only for 15 seconds, but it is a massive increase. It is a massive increase. So that's a really good skill if you're an offensive class or you want to have a little bit more power